Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Thanks for staying with us. We're discussing Intersociety report on demolition of churches by states and non-state actors in Nigeria. Our guest is Mazi Emeka Umeabalasi. He's a criminologist, a researcher, head Intersociety, International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, Intersociety. Good morning, Mazi Emeka. Can you hear us clearly?
Clearly. Good morning, my sister.
All right. I want to read out a portion of your report and have you unpack some of the numbers that are written therein. So, according to your report, about 19,100 churches have been attacked, burned, looted, or forcibly shut down over the last 16 years since 2009. I want to read out another report. According to those killed, abducted through violence, between January 1st and August 10, 2025, that's approximately 220 days, 7,087 Christians were reportedly killed. Could you unpack these numbers to us so that we can have a holistic understanding of what actually is transpiring in Nigeria based on insecurity?
Thank you very much. We are specifically this time around. We specifically took a look at the segment that has generated a lot of controversy, matters of insecurity in Nigeria, that has also caught the global attention, and that has to do with the situation of Christians in Nigeria. And you know, it's not about Christianization of the entire country or entire world. It is about the law. It is about the establishment. It is about the international norms. It is about international best practices. That is to say that under the United Nations, the right to freedom of religion is very, very sacred. And it has been universally proclaimed. And the fact that right to freedom of religion is the first and oldest human right in the world, universally proclaimed as far back as 313 AD under Emperor Constantinople and things like that. So under the United Nations, it was not only incorporated, but it featured prominently in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, otherwise known as UDHR of 1948, which is morally binding on every member state of the United Nations, which has also been adopted by non-members, substantial number of non-members of the United Nations. It tells you how efficacious and how strong that freedom of religion is. So talking about the statistics we just quoted, yes, we just took a look because we have been there in times of advocacy campaigns since 2010, particularly with respect to attack on the ground of religion or insecurity based on the ground of religion or somehow ethnicity. So we took a look at the study based on what we have in our archives over the years from 2010 to this year. We have been documenting, monitoring, tracking the state of religion in Nigeria, the safety of religious practitioners in Nigeria, including the non-Christians like Shiite Muslims, otherwise called Muslim Islamic movement in Nigeria, and members of traditional religious institutions. You know, the attacks leveled against visited upon them by some radical Christians and what have you. So our campaign has been holistic. So talking about the Christian proper, Christianity proper, of course, we took a look at the statistics available. It's not only our own made statistics. In fact, out of the statistics we have, ours constituted less than 20%. That is to say, the statistics generated from other internationally respected bodies, media houses, research institutions, Christian organizations, diplomatic members of diplomatic bodies, intergovernmental bodies, and things like that. Some powerful countries like United States, UK, and all that and all that. And it was as a result of all these things put together that we came to that conclusion, statistical conclusion, talking about the number of Christians killed. The part of that report, which probably you forgot to mention, was the those killed on the religious ground in Nigeria is from 2009 to this 2000 August 2025. We also had that segment in that report approximated at 185,000, including some 125,000 Christians and some 60,000 moderate Muslims. You know, we have the statistics clearly pointed out, and those who are responsible for their killings. So that is how we came about this. And then we also look at the churches, like you say, and the role of state actors, armed state actors, non-armed state actors, and non uh, non-unarmed state actors. We put all these things together and we arrive at that 19,100. And taking a cozy look at the past 8 months or thereabouts of 2025, we also got our statistics, which cut across the entire country. You know, attention has recently been focused on Middle Belt. No, the attack on Christians is a countrywide, it's a nationwide. It's not, but Middle Belt has, you know, substantial majority. Thank you.
All right, Mazdi, could you expound on the scope of these killings in terms of the geographical scope and frequency of attacks?
But their account has been very, very frequent. It's not accidental, it's not isolated attack. It is something that looks like it is well planned, well coordinated, and systematic. That is the correct word to describe what is going on in Nigeria. And in the course of our investigation, we try as much as possible to isolate the killings that have nothing to do with religion. You know, there are a lot of killings going on in Nigeria. The military men are also killing. The police transport are also killing. The vigilantes are also killing. And any killing that is conducted outside the law is an unlawful killing. That is the basis of our analysis. Whether perpetrated by state actor or non-state actor, whether armed or unarmed. So talking about the situation of Christians, well, the majority of the killings took place, no doubt, in the south, I mean, in the Middle Belt, with the highest number coming from Benue. After Benue, where up to 1,000 people have been killed. After Benue, you have the Plateau and the southern Kaduna, where not less than 700 or 800 people were killed. Then you now come to Southeast. Even Southeast here, the kind of religious killings that are going on are very complex and confused. So a lot of people, except you are a researcher and a thorough investigation, may not be able to know what is going on in the Southeast. In fact, a situation where it is even made worse, a situation where security forces and their leaders will come and blame every violent crime on ESN or IPOD. Also compounded by the complicity of some governors who always like to shift blame instead of facing the incidents that it has occurred and try to get to the root of it. And that has also worsened this type of a killing in Nigeria. So in the Southeast, we have close to 600 people killed on religious ground. And let me give you why. Let me tell you why Southeast a religious killing is very striking. It is designed in such a way that not everybody will understand what is going on. For instance, up to a dozen commercial vehicles conveying passengers or commuters have been abducted in the southeast in the past 9 months. You talk of the Isuku Atomahia route, within the southeast and outside the southeast. The one that included many like the Peace Mass Transit. That was a bus that was released back in July, and also the law students and law graduates from Anambra State that were also traveling back to their destiny, how their vehicle was ambushed and taken into the forest. And the danger there is that apart from the fact that those law graduates are lucky to have paid through their notes to secure their release at the average of 10 million naira each, there were those that traveled with them whose whereabouts have not been determined. The abduction of passengers en routing Peace Mass Transit back in July in Kogi State, during which six passengers escaped, 9 others were captured. Now, talking about how do you determine the whereabouts of those 9 others, don't you think that those 9 others must have been used as sacrificial lamb for those people that escaped under the grip of the Fulani kidnappers, and so on and so forth? Look at the incident of yesterday along Halomona, Suka Road or something like that. Incidentally, we passed through there 3 weeks ago, last month, when we attended the burial of the elder brother to one of our friends. And then we were warned that this area is a Fulani prone zone. Look at the Reverend Father that was just shot dead, and the commuters who are possibly members of this congregation taken into the bush, and nobody can determine their whereabouts. They look at the one that happened 3 days ago in Kogi State. A Reverend Father again was abducted alongside members of his parish and other by Fulani jihadists. And today, nobody is aware of their whereabouts, and so on and so forth. So all 600 and something people that were killed in Southeast on the religious grounds were killed through what we call open attack. Others were killed through means that are very, very difficult to be determined by, by their family members and members of the family. Of course, it's obvious you are frequent. You are conversant with the incident in a harmful and the one that happened in a state area in the year, so on and so forth. These are the ones that can be reported. There are many others that have not been reported yet. They happen, and all that. So we congregated and aggregated all the statistics, going through newspaper report from one newspaper to another, digital GP like yours to another, trying to get some statistics and have them compiled and all that. So that's the way it is. So you have Benue, you have at the largest intake or casualty figure, you have Plateau, you have Southern Kaduna, then others are spread across. In fact, there is no which one? In Taraba, in Boronu, in Kebbi, in Niger. In fact, as a matter of fact, Niger used to have 5 local government areas with substantial Christian population. But right now, the 5 local government areas, including Paiko, Rafi, Shiroro, and what have you, have been overrun by these bandits, both locally assembled and regionally assembled bandits that we are giving waiver to enter Nigeria in 2017 under Buhari and what have you. So that is the situation. So we carefully took a look at each state, especially even the Southwest. Southwest is not even exempted. Even the Edo and the Delta. If you look at Edo, many of their forests have been taken over by Fulani jihadists, including Delta. And so Kogi and things like that, many of them, Nasarawa, name them, Ogun, Ondo, Oshun, Oyo, and all these places, even in the South, you see have incidents of Fulani kidnapping here. You go to Imo State, almost Imo State is a state with 27 local government areas, but I'm sure up to half of the local government in Imo State are under siege by Fulani herdsmen, which the security forces and some of these governors, try to shift blame by blaming it everything on ESN and IPOB without diligent and thorough investigation and investigative findings. Thank you.
All right, you've mentioned quite a few times during your submission about, you've complained about the complacency of the governors. You also quoted the attacks as being well coordinated and systematic in their approach. Are you in any way, or probably from your research, insinuating that there could be a political undertone to these, killings that we see in Nigeria?
I hardly hear you anyway, but let me attempt to answer your last question. If you want to look at what is happening in the country with respect to killings related to religion, let us start from our southeast. You ask yourself, even though you are a young woman, but I'm sure 10 years ago, your age, or even if you are not of age, I'm sure your education and the research background, the educative background must have taken you to some sort of crucibles of how the Southeast, the composition of Southeast, what was the security situation or state of insecurity in the Southeast before June 2015. So that's a very critical question. Of course, Southeast is a blue-collar region. We know that. In a blue-collar region, you have high incidence of crime because of the transactional composition of that particular region that is called blue-collar. In a white-collar region, you have high incidence of pen robbery, digital robbery, and what have you. So Southeast is relatively blue-collar. But that does not remove the fact that by 2015, by June 2015, things started changing in the Southeast, in the area of state of security or state of insecurity. A lot of external factors started playing out, and all that. And then our deeper investigation indicated then and still indicates that some of the top political office holders were hirelings, were served as hirelings. They were used by what I can call the people I can describe as our external enemies, because anybody that is trying to stop you from practicing your religion peacefully is the enemy, because he has created enemy. He's trying to create enmity between you and your God, whether you're a member of Assemblies of God or Catholic or Pentecostal, this or that, or even the people that are referred to white cloth in churches. The person is the enemy, and because he's trying to plant enmity between you and your God. So, having said that, that is the situation with the Southeast as at starting from June 2015. The region became balkanized. The region became raped. The region became, terrorized by external forces and all that. And I remember one of them who happened to be governor in one of the Southeast states, then went to a respected private television in a live program, and threatened to unleash rival agitation group in Igbo land to counterfeit what the mainstream group was doing. And somewhere along the line, the circumstances under which a bag was formed they are still shrouded in controversy. Because from the time the bag was formed, no single Fulani herdsman has been arrested today by the same outfit. So you look at a lot of killings killings going on in the Southeast, and all these killings are outside the law. So that is the situation in the Southeast, in the entire country. So it wasn't an accident, it wasn't accidental. What is to say that what is going on in the country today matter in the area of religion, attack against on the ground of religion. It's not a matter of it's not accidental, and it's not a matter of an isolated case. It is well planned and well executed. So there is a very strong suspicion on the angle of complicity of some Southeast government. Why am I saying some? Many or most, if not all, the Southeast governors, both past and present, starting from that June 2015 till today. So things went out. A lot of water passed under the bridge. And what is it? And what is the replicated nature, extension of that program-friendly enterprise today? Now, look at this, the so-called Fulani cattle ranching. Look at this Fulani cattle ranching. This thing is purely religious. It's religiously related. There is no sensible government that can abandon a lot of things that the government can do for the people to alleviate the suffering of the people, only for that government to resort to use of ranching, settling, forceful settlement of members of another ethnic group that has no connection with our history, forceful settlement of that particular people in another community where everything is provided inside the bush, where there is also possibility that in the hours of the blue law, helicopters will be, from their jihad enablers, will be dropping arms and water, jihad, all the offensive items. While our people, peaceful people are busy sleeping. These are the things. So right now in the Southeast, any state that agrees to, well, of course, they are being forced to, any state that accepts to go by way of Fulani ranching, that state will be given not less than 60 billion naira by federal government. I will draw you to an interview because we are statistical and factual. I will draw your attention to an interview. You can Google it as we speak. Google why I rejected 75 billion naira offered by federal government for me to abrogate anti-grazing law of Benue State. Google it as we speak. You will see it. That is the latest interview granted by former governor of Benue State, Otton. Otton said it clearly that for him to agree to the request by these people, jihad enablers, he was offered 75 billion. Out of this 75 billion, 40 billion was for zero interest loan by federal government, from federal government. And 5 billion was for infrastructural development. Now you ask yourself, federal government that is almost broke, that has been borrowing money from left, right, and center, where did they get this money to offer to a single governor, which has nothing to do with what do you call it, funds, the federation fund shared from federation account, or even the one that is entitled, that the Benue State government under him was entitled to, which was supposed to, which ought to go to consolidated revenue account of Benue State. Why did the federal government get this money? Why promoting this ranching thing? So you look at all these things, and all these governors are compliant. Many of them have secretly donated lands. My brother, governor of Anambra State, come openly through his commission of information and openly admitted that Anambra State is already has a land for Fulani for the ranching, waiting for for this thing to take on. It's on the paper. You go to Google Vanguard newspaper, you will see it, and so on and so forth. So what are the points I'm trying to say? And you know that throughout Nigeria, by laws of Nigeria, it is only the governor that issues your code. So you'll be here sleeping and you won't even know when a land has been allocated to them in an isolated area and strategic part of the Southeast. And It's not only that this land is allocated. Meanwhile, this money is not given to every compliant governor for him to go and squander. No, it is given to him for him to start building, use it to build, to transform that particular forest land given into a new quarter, a new residence that will be captured in the national geography for these Fulani guys, and so on and so on. Already most of the military formations and other security forces formations in the southeast are already saturated by Fulani guys in the name of cattle rearing. So what the hell is that? And what evidence? What other evidence do you know? There is no other governor. It's only governors in Nigeria that have power to issue of CO2, and so on and so forth. So even if you are agitating as non-state actors, you won't even know that your governor has compromised so bad that he has to the extent of, having already issued them with CO2 and everything. So if you go to court, these people will come to court and read the CO2 duly given. What are you going to do about it? So that is the situation we are under. And I don't know, maybe there is something that I'm forgetting. You first of all raise the issue of the number of churches. Of course, yes, 19,100 churches. And most of those statistics, like I said, did not come from us. They came from different research and investigative institutions. You have Open Doors report of 2015 that said that from July 2009 was the day the year Boko Haram Islamic uprising started in Nigeria. That is why we always reference July 2009. So Open Doors report of December 2015 clearly stated that from July 2009 to end of 2014, not less than 13,000 churches were shut down or demolished or burned down or sacked under Boko Haram Islamic insurgency, mostly in the northeast. There is a best state of the northeast, that is Taraba, Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. So that is the situation. Then suspect reports. The report also disclosed of not less than 1,500 Christian schools were also attacked and shut down. Then you look at this short of, I don't know their pronouncement. Their pronouncement is always difficult for me, but the church is called in a short form, EYN Church. EYN Church is a church that came to Northeast in 1940s. It's a very powerful, very influential in that area of the country. So EYN Church in June 2020 issued a national report, statistical report, disclosing that under Boko Haram insurgency from 2009 July to end of May 2020, that there are 8,370 members were killed. Then how many? Is it 150 something out of their 300 and something churches attacked and shut down? Then there are 23 pastors killed. There are 1.5 million members, most of them uprooted, and 700,000 displaced. And that out of the 276 Chibok girls that were adopted, 255 belong to them, to their church. Can you see that kind of shocking statistics? Then you come from the angle of Catholic Church, it is the same thing. Right now, there are about 17 or 16 Catholic dioceses in northern Nigeria that are almost getting empty. The Bishop of Sokoto is more or less a bishop of a speech delivering bishop than bishop of his diocese, because under his diocese, I'm not laughing anyway. Under his diocese, parishes and outstations have become empty. You go to Benue, you have 4 dioceses, Catholic dioceses in Benue, and all the Catholic dioceses are passing through here. In Makurdi diocese, for instance, you have more than 20 something, more than 20 of their parishes and the hundreds of dozens of their outstations shut down. In fact, in Castina, Fulani herdsmen are presently occupying 26 outstations and launched a very devastating attack by a certain St. Michael Catholic Church, and they shut down, burned the referatory, and what have you. So, how many will you count? In Kaduna State, at a point, the count there disclosed that they lost over hundreds, at least 200 churches in 4 years in Kaduna State, which included the Catholic, the Assemblies of God, the Coasting Church, and what are. In Plateau, the same thing. Plateau State is the same thing, hundreds. In Benue State, at a point, the count there disclosed that more than 500 churches were shut down in between 2011 and either 2022 or 2020, as case may be. So how many are you going to have? In this part of the country, you have the aspect, the church is also affected, but the mostly affected churches here belong to these people you people call, we don't like calling them white garment. We can call them white clothing churches. They are a member of Christian Association of Nigeria, and their umbrella body is called the Organization of the African Instituted Churches and their allies. So you look, the military, the police are responsible for attacking and shutting down over 1,000 of them. Even in matters of religion, freedom of religion, more than 1,500 traditional sanctuaries belonging to African traditional religion have also been attacked, razed or uprooted by the military, or in the name of, and the police crack squad, or in the name of counter-insurgency operations against a secessionist group. Anchored terror, enforced labeling, mass criminalization, class stigmatization, and ethno-religious profiling. Thank you.
I want to call your attention to what you mentioned earlier, referencing the interview.
Okay.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I wanted to draw your attention to the interview which you mentioned, former Governor Autumn, which in an interview, he said he was offered a certain amount of money. And in your response, you did say that the federal government was broke, and where, did they get such money from? So my question to you will be, are you insinuating, or do you think that there could be non-Nigerian actors or interested parties who may be funding this agenda from outside of Nigeria? What are your thoughts?
Of course, Nigeria is broke. A country that runs its business of the day-to-day conduct of the business on borrowing. So that country is broke. The Tinubu government, this is, sorry for the digression, the Tinubu administration has borrowed more than, he has borrowed money that is more than, externally speaking, we are not even talking about internally. He has borrowed more money than the entire Obasanjo, Yaradua, Jonathan, and Buhari administration put together. That is Tinubu administration in 2 years. So do not forget that Obasanjo almost liquidated Nigerian debt profile, but left 1.5 trillion naira only from internal debt profile. He didn't settle that one. But outside the country, $30 something billion, he settled them through a negotiation whereby he was asked to pay $18 billion for $12 billion or thereabout or more than to be written off. So when Obasanjo left office, the debt profile overhang of Nigeria was only that of the internal debt, and a fraction of external debt that was not under Paris Club arrangement. Now, since then, we have had Yaradua, Jonathan, or Buhari. Now, this man has borrowed, the borrowings incurred by the Buhari Tinubu in 2 years have surpassed the entire thing. So now, how do we go from here? This is a government that runs the country, and including the subnational units, if you like, state and local government. We're borrowing from. Recently, the government tendered a request for $21 billion. So can you imagine that? And that one was stupidly granted, because I call it stupid, because it ought not to have been granted. So that is it. So like the country is broke. Look at ordinary Ethiopia. There is no ambitious project going on in Nigeria today, starting from Obasa and Buhari administration till today. But Ethiopia just inaugurated the largest hydroelectric dam in Africa just 3 weeks ago. Built, cost valued at over $5 billion. So what are we saying? So a country, except they are borrowing, maybe I don't know whether they are borrowing from Islamic Development Bank and other sources and start sharing what they borrowed among all these states. Because I don't see the rationale behind giving a state governor 60 billion naira outside the due process. Simple, because that state governor has agreed to donate land for Fulani ranching, cattle ranching. I don't see the so there is likelihood of, it's only the federal government that can disclose. And then, see, unfortunately, all these governors, none of them is asking questions, I mean, so there is likelihood of the government of federal government of Nigeria sourcing the money from some, crooked and non-credible sources outside the country to, because, like I said, what is going on in Nigeria is not isolated case. It's religious, it's deliberate and systematic. So that's all I can say in that regard. Now, do not forget that the former governor I just quoted, when Michael categorized the money being offered to him, or that was offered to him, he said, out of this 75 billion offered to him, I'm sure you have seen the link I'm talking about. It's there in either Vanguard or some exclusive interview of last 2 months or 3 months. Out of this $75 billion naira that was offered to me by federal government, 35 billion naira was for infrastructural development. That is to say, that one is not a loan money. It's a gift, it's a grant. 140 billion naira was for a zero interest loan. Can you imagine that? Federal government is stressing borrowing money under stringent conditions, including penalties and interest. The same federal government is offering a state governor 40 billion naira as zero interest loan. So doesn't that tell you that something is fishy? Where is the money coming from? Where is the money? When was the last time the Nigerian government under Tinubu and Buhari, presented before Nigeria the annual financial account for us to be able to know where Nigeria is in? Is there any ambitious project going on in Nigeria? The answer is no. It's the government of Pandemania and the Syria borrowing. Thank you.
All right, Mazi. So, from your research, which groups, be it government or non-governmental, actors, which of these groups are most implicated in these killings that we're talking about in Nigeria?
Of course, if you look at this, if you look at that report, in the area of burning of churches or destruction of churches, or rather wanton destruction of churches, from 2009 to 2014, I'm copiously quoting international reports, 13,000, not less than, but that is to say more than 13,000 churches were affected. And that was mostly or largely perpetrated under Boko Haram insurgents. Of course, Boko Haram, we know that during the time of Boko Haram, during that time, it was Boko Haram, perpetrating about 70% or 60%. Then you also have Islamic State for West Africa, ISWAP, Ansalu, and what and even Fulani herdsmen. But that time, Fulani herdsmen have not become jihadists. They have not become. They are still growing. They have not yet been regimented and radicalized, and they armed with sophisticated arms, including illicit small arms and the light weapons. So, but that is to say that within that period of 5 years, out of over 13,000 churches that were attacked, the Boko Haram perpetrated was responsible for substantial part of the such attack. Now, from 2015 June till date, if you look at the attacks on churches, then it has led to many resurgence of many criminal, religiously criminal entities rearing the ugly heads in Nigeria. Part of that report said that it is likely that 22 Islamic terror groups have chosen Nigeria as their safe haven. It's not as if that all these 22 Islamic terror groups from African countries have assembled and are headquartered in Nigeria, but due to the evolution of a digital world, they seem to now establish a web, a digital web. You know, the meaning of Al-Qaeda is global web for Islamic web. So they seem to have moved to Nigeria and use Nigeria as their safe haven. Do not forget that Osman bin Laden once used Sudan as his hiding place. Osama bin Laden is the founder of global Al-Qaeda. Before Osama bin Laden, you used to have the Mujahideen, the Taliban, and what have you, and a lot of splinter groups. But later, they now centralize their operation using the advantage of digital world, and they use a global web. They also use what we call World Jihad Fund. World Jihad Fund is an establishment for intensification and consolidation of radical Islamism. But that is a story for another day. So we have some of these radical oil shares donate huge amount of money and all that. So from 2015 June to this period, the Fulani herdsmen took over. Jihadist Fulani herdsmen took over up to today, and they are now the general overseer of all the terror groups in Nigeria. Fulani herdsmen, Jihadist Fulani herdsmen, because in June 2020 they formed Nigerian Jihad Alliance in Niger State. And of course, you know that Niger State is the largest state in Nigeria with 76,363 square kilometers and all that. So they went there and formed a Nigerian Islamic Jihad Alliance or something. A Nigerian Jihad Alliance or something like that. So, but they are at top of they are now in charge because their former life patron is the immediate past president of Nigeria. So they rose to state power following his footsteps, and that is the situation. So right now, from that June 2015 to now, Fulani herdsmen are still in the lead in matters of the number of churches attacked. That is, which estimated in that report that from 2015 June to last month, that estimated 6,100 churches were additionally attacked, burned down, razed, shot down, and what have you, or wantonly destroyed. And out of this estimated 6,100, over 1,000 of those churches were attacked and razed by deployed security forces in the southeast and south-south, which includes military personnel and the police crash squad. It's clearly stated. So we are now left with 5,100 churches, which the destruction was spread across Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, Kumbi, Southern Kaduna, and so on and so forth, Niger State, Taraba, Adamawa, Borno, and things like that, even Kebbi, even Katsina. So those responsible for the attacks, for substantial part of the attack are Fulani herdsmen. And do not forget that when we talk of Fulani herdsmen, jihadist Fulani herdsmen, we talk of the bandits, the people that they refer to as bandits. Bandits are also Fulani oriented because bandits originated from Maradun local government area in Zamfara state, where they were once called the Zamfara bandits. You can Google as we speak. Zamfara bandits, that's their name. The old further origin of that Zamfara bandits was that there was a problem in that particular part of Zamfara state between the indigenous Hausas, both Muslims and Christians, and the Fulani. So Hausas used to have a militia with which they challenged the Fulani. It's called the Yankasai vigilante group. Then along the line, a famous Fulani man, chief, leader in that area, financed, mobilized Fulani youth, and they now form Zamfara bandit. It is the Zamfara bandit that you are hearing today as bandit. We are not saying that 100% of their members are Fulani, but they are Fulani dominated. Just like when Boko Haram started. Boko Haram was Kanuri dominated. It doesn't mean that all the Boko Haram members are Kanuri. No, but they originated, they have this orientation from Kanuri, just like Fulani bandits. I mean, the bandits have this substantial orientation from Fulani, likewise the Fulani herdsmen. And of course, you know that other Fulanis have also been assembled from Black Africa and the Maghreb Africa and what have you, including a part of them now are mercenaries from Libya and the other Maghreb region or North Africa. Thank you.
To infer that Benue State is the worst hit in Nigeria in terms of frequency and magnitude of attacks. And from your experience and from your research, why would you think that outcome is, the way it is? Why is Benue State the worst hit in Nigeria?
Benue State is understandable. It's understandable. I think the Fulani herdsmen and their sponsors are very, very statistical. They're also in the knowledge of moderns, even in the Southeast. They are in the knowledge of the topography of the Southeast, for instance. The interviews we cut off from newspapers about 3 years ago over the survivor, those who escaped or who survived Fulani herdsmen abduction in the Southeast, indicated that they took some of them and toured the entire Southeast in 4 days. Can you believe that? Are you aware that you can use trekking to cover the entire Southeast in 4 days? That's a research finding. So talking about the Benue State you are referring to is understandable. The attacks the attacks we are under reference are not, like I said, are not an isolated case. They are well planned. These jihadists, the Benue State, for instance, is a state in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, with the largest Christian population. After Benue State, you have Plateau. Benue has about 6.5 million people in terms of going by United Nations population estimate. Benue has over 6.5 million population, making it the largest Christian state in northern Nigeria. And apart from being the largest Christian state in northern Nigeria, Benue State also parades the largest Catholic faithful in northern Nigeria. So you can understand why Benue is being targeted. So, and right now, the attacks in Benue have uprooted 70% of the people of Benue and driven out not up to more than 40% of the population. Some of them have fled, some have relocated to other parts of the country, some have left the country, many have been killed, some are being spotted at different internally displaced person's camp, while others have also crossed beyond Nigerian borders, especially the educated ones, to become what we refer to in criminology as urban refugees. So that is the situation in Benue State. So you can understand why Benue State is targeted, just like in Plateau. Plateau is the second state in the north with the largest Christian population. And let me tell you something. The Nigeria has approximately 280 million, going by United Nations population estimate, latest population estimate. Of these 280 million, there are approximately 113 million Christians in Nigeria, and approximately 100 million Muslims in Nigeria, and others are who are either subsumed within the Christianity population or operate separately. If you put together others, about 25 million others or thereabouts, you can get maybe including those who come from brought into the country from Nigeria, Chad, all this and that. You have that is an alien population. You have alien population in the country with not less than 20 million or 15 to 20 million. You know, those people that allowed access into the country from Chad, Niger, Mali, this, that, and what have you, Senegal, and what have you. But the total population of Nigeria right now is approximately 230 million, out of which you have 113 million Christians and the estimated 100 million Muslims. And if you look at the population of Muslims, estimated 76 million live in the north, estimated 24 million live in the south, including in Lagos State that has about 9 million Muslims. Then you have other states with larger, in the south with larger Muslim population, such as Ogun or Shun or Yo and Edo. That is the population. You also have estimated 13 million traditional worshippers who are mostly Christianity affiliated, having been baptized in Christianity, as well as others who do not belong to any religion, or they belong to any religion, but they are not captured. In criminology, we refer to that as dark figures. So that is the composition. So you can now understand why Benue State is being targeted, Benue and Plateau. And even Southern Kaduna, in Kaduna, you have about 40% of the population are Christians. So that is the situation.
Much, Mazi. But before we let you go, and in 2 minutes, I would like to know what you or your organization intends to do with this information. Is it just to disseminate it to the public, or because I know that the end of every research is to develop a solution to a problem or to close a gap of some sort. So what is obtainable? What are you planning to do with this report, that we just discussed now going forward?
The intent is to have this database, which is very, very difficult in social management. In social management in every social climate, building a database is the most difficult thing to do. It is a database that will give you a direction. Philosophers will tell you the best way to, when you start asking, the best way to define philosophy is for you to ask what philosophy is about. And once you ask that question, you have started philosophizing, because philosophy is seeking to know. You understand? So the essence of this report is to conscientize and make people to be conscious of what is going on. Because even a lot of Catholic priests, Catholic bishops, Pentecostal pastors, and what have you, members of the ladies of Christians in Nigeria are not aware of what is happening. So when we raise the awareness, thank God it is also receiving international attention. In the United States right now, a senator is proposing Nigerian Christian Protection Act bill. If the bill is signed into law, it becomes an act in the United States. And United States is the policeman of the earth. So it's a very good development. Some positive development also going on in British Parliament and so many other places and what have you. So, and that's the essence. But you cannot fold your hands and expect these people to come and help you. You have to start crying before somebody will come and ask you, well, who is making you cry, or what is making you cry? Thank you.
Intersociety report on demolition of churches by state and non-state actors in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mazi, for your very deep insights on the subject matter.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Yeah.
All right. Don't forget you can catch up on some of our in fact, all of our conversation online on YouTube at Signature TV Official, and also download Signature TV app from Google Play Store. I'm Chigichago, I'm your host, and I'm sure that we have brought you entertainment, information, and you are motivated. Don't go anywhere as New Day continues right after now.